Good afternoon, morning, evening, nighttime, mind's eye, visual, guitar people. And welcome back for another lesson. Hopefully, I can deliver. Promise is big today. I want to get some beginners to improvise. So let's get right to it as fast as we can because I don't want to ramble. So, for today's lesson, the context is going to be here's a situation where you could find yourself in pretty easily. Somebody picks up a guitar somewhere, you've got your guitar in hand, and maybe everyone's expecting you to play along, with this other guitarist. So you kind of gonna have to know some things here. Boy, that guitarist just picks up and goes. I mean, fair enough, right? A couple of simple chords that they might know: a D major, an A major, and an E major. And they all sound kind of good together. But they're all major chords, so especially to someone new, you're thinking, okay, well, gee, what should I do? Should I play in D major? I know some scales, but should I play in A major because there's an A chord in there, or in E major? But I could stick with D major, but when it gets to that A major chord, it would still work. But when it gets to that E major chord, D major isn't really gonna. If you tried that, the solo would fall apart. And so, because he's not in the key of D, so you might think, well, let's try the key of E then, E major, but then D is not in that key, and that leaves out A major, which would solve the equation. But getting ahead of ourselves here, so you might think, how can I figure this out really quick? A D, an A, and an E. Well, here's what I would do really quick. Here's the chords that we played, by the way. There's an open A and the E. And have your guitars ready in your hand. This will always make these lessons better. So, so as I wrote in the notes here, here's the major chords, D, A, and E. Are they changing keys? Now, they could be, like we discussed. Or, maybe that's another thing. You could think, oh, I'll solve that problem. I'll go with, I'll play D major, and then I'll play A major, and then I'll play E major. So I could figure out something like, now I'm going to just have to juggle some scales. So to play D major, what would I play? Alright, so that chord's going over there. Now we're going to change to A. So I know it's just a one note change. I might be able to go. Now, because there's only one note changing, okay, so it's doable and has its own merits. You might want to go that way, but are there any advantages to, if these fall into one key, into playing in one key? And there are. If it's in one key, that means that, the advantage to these being in one key might also be that these chords in this progression are just going over one bar. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Maybe we'll play the E for an extended bar. We'll throw an extra bar there to make it a nice four bars of three chords. But so in that regard, you could switch all those scales. Pretty cool. But if you keep them in the same key, the point is that you're going to get a flavor over each chord because the chord dictates what those melody keys will ultimately sound like when you're playing it, in one scale, kind of like modes, how the chord is the dominant thing, the root note, the chord, the tonality, the tonal gravity is going to be what takes one scale and gives it a certain flavor, like Dorian, Ionian, and blah blah blah. So before we get off on a tangent explaining modes, that's all we really need to know. The only kind of thought we'd have to have about them, and even if that's confusing for a beginner, don't worry about it. So so there's an example of them all falling into one key, and they do. But how would we know that? That's the next thing we got to go over. So we would need to be able to pick this up quick and impress the audience. So, in some kind of improv, quick situation, for the most part, I mean, you're probably going to end up playing songs you know if you play in front of an audience or play in front of people, something you've really practiced, you know. But select few, want to be able to just, pick up that guitar and impress people. And so, how could you do that really quick? Now, provided your acoustic guitar backup guitarist is going to be friendly and stay on the same damn three chords and not start playing chords all over the place, that would be kind of confusing. But and that's basically a thing I was getting to my point. You're probably playing over things that you already know the key and stuff like that. But okay, what I would do is this: I would think about those chords and I would just go, well, what are the root notes? And I would go, okay, we got a D and an A and an E. And I might rearrange it to go, where are they close by each other? D, A, E. So I instantly recognize that pattern. I'm like, oh, now there is something from one major scale. This indicates that all these could be in one chord because I know that pattern is going to help me find my 1, 4, 5. So, and just as a reinforcement, I'm like, yeah, and I even learned that is the 6, 2, 3. See how that sounds cool. I can make a song out of that right now. Walking through the forest. All right, so sorry. We've got 1, 4, 5. This is what we've determined because these aren't minor chords, so we can just disregard 6, 2, 3 and go 1, 4, 5. Cool. So, okay, so this is a 1, 4, 5, but wait a minute, it doesn't really sound like a 1, 4, 5. How come? Because, okay, the A is my 1 chord, the D is my 4 chord, and the E is my 5 chord. So if I'm playing D first, I'm playing a 4 first, then I'm playing my 1, then I'm playing my 5, so I've got a 4, 1, 5 progression, and that 1 is A, so my key is A. Okay, cool. So now that pretty much informs me that I'm going to be playing all these chords. If I play an A major scale on the fretboard, that had nothing to do with A major. Sorry. Well, that did. It was the root. So we've got the key of A. How can I find this scale across the fretboard quick? So the next thing I would do is understand this, that if I've got a 1 and a 4, that means I've got my 7, 1, 3, 4 square available. Once I find my square, I understand the whole fretboard. So because my square has a couple simple rules that make it happen. So here it is. Just to recap what we've already gone over in a million lessons on this channel. So if you want to learn this more, then check out the entire channel if you're new here. So sorry, my bad. So we've got this A and D. Oh my God, wow, my fingers are going terrible. So I know my square. I'm in my I already know that they connect like that. So now, very quickly, especially if this was still new to me, this is how it was when it was new to me. I'd have this part of the board at least populated that quickly. So, and what it is, I guess when I was creating this lesson, I thought to ask squares and pentatonic. So, anyways, that's what's going to help us find this across our fretboard is these squares and pentatonic. So, what are the squares? It's these things that connect all across the fretboard. There's 2 rows of them, which we're going to expose here in a second. Let me just keep moving through the frames here. So the next thing I would understand, though, is once I got a square here, I know I've got a pentatonic coming right out of that root note. That was just the first light blue pentatonic. Even the key, the chord of E. So yeah, cool. And then I've got a second pentatonic right there. So with just knowing 2 pentatonic shapes where they fit or where they would belong, I'm already populating the board, my fretboard this far. Since I got the squares there, I've got my half steps now for some better sounds. But we're still, now scales will get us noodling, so we got to get way past this. So let's keep on moving here. I would know that, there's my other square there, jumping over the anomaly there, filling in my pentatonic shapes here. Let's keep on moving. And I'm going to just adjust some things here. All right, so sheet number 10. We are in 10 sheets already. So my, square idea is growing from there. So I know I would have my So, here I am at the bottom, at this square here on our screen. So, as is above, so is below. Here's my bottom E string. I got my square over here. And that tells me I'm in a scale shape that I know, but I haven't printed it out here on the on our diagrams here. So let's just keep on moving. This shape tells me I'm in the Aeolian, what I know is my Aeolian shape. And now you can see here that it's the same as this one because it's an octave higher on the fretboard. So we've covered almost every possible note. As soon as we populate, all we need to do is dress a pentatonic over that, kaboom, and we have our completed fretboard left to right with a little area here that we've already talked about. I said that's my, I know that is what you would know, that's a Phrygian shape, but don't worry about the modal name right now. Doesn't matter, just names the shape. So that tells you that right there, that we've got that. That's our third pentatonic, by the way. So we had pentatonic number 1, the one that covers this Aeolian box. In the beginning, then the second one was the Dorian pentatonic, and now we have the Phrygian pentatonic over here. So that populates my fretboard with A, but now what? Because now we'll be kind of noodly. I mean, I wasn't really thinking too much, and if you just listen, you can be a lot less noodly, and you can hear what notes that and even though in these pentatonics can be somewhat interchangeable too if you understand the gut notes. So, for example, I can put my I don't know if the numbers that I'm saying over the pentatonic shapes will be the same numbers you know here, but we'll go by shape here. Um, this is the shape that looks almost like the standard pentatonic box, but it has this note instead of this note is the regular one. Then they. So, anyways, if, you might want to use that over the D chord. Then the O over the A. Sorry for rambling there. Rambling on the guitar. So you might want to, just using your ear, you can really go from here, especially once you know this. But it can be a little noodly still. There is some things that I'm eventually going to get to. We're going to go past. There's another way to play. The final way to play I'm going to include in a second lesson. That's a really, I'm sorry, that's going to, this is what happens when you don't do a script. It's really, you mess up your lesson. So anyways, yeah, there's another whole bunch of ways we can play. Let's discover them. Number one, this method is going to be called milk the half steps and plan a system. So here's what the milk the half steps means. And in your key, you've got 2 half steps. In this particular key, it's the purple and the green. The notes are there and it doesn't matter to me. So, and doesn't have to matter to you. On our E string, high E string, we got the purple, and directly above that, or toward your ceiling, below it on the diagram, we got the green. So the X represents where I'm going to be playing into these from. My ideas are going to be like. And I'm going to base kind of my lines around that. Let's hear it. Now I've got this on a backing track. So provided the volume is good on this backing track, we're going to give that a shot here and see what we find. Purple, green over A, purple over E. Okay, so our progression there, by the way, is 1 bar. We just get to 1 bar of D, and then we don't have to worry about that idea anymore. We want to get on to our idea for A over the next 4 beats, and then we've got 8 beats, or 2 bars over the E chord is what I set up there in our tasty backing track. So, there's a, not too bad of an idea. Now I'm going to switch over to, I'm visualizing my scale, my big scale is in the back of my mind here. It's not really lit up here on this diagram. I'm going to use the zeros, or the O's here as my other choice. So that gives me now more mileage over this. Let's try it again. And the E chord. Purple. Alright, so I mixed it around a bit, and that last one, I was thinking about playing from, we'll call the O's ahead of the square, the zeros, and then behind the square. A lot of the same notes, but just still, you move through the line differently based on some of these, and you can find different resolves and stuff like that. So it's kind of right there's a cool little system, but there's a whole lot more. I mean, this will kind of show you too. There's a lot of different ways to approach improvising and trying to find things that sound cooler than just knowing the scale by itself and just expecting. You gotta see my head is going. It's doing a bobblehead. Just doing simple 3-note acrobat movements all over the fretboard works for about a bar, and then it's got to do something else there. Work something else into them lines. Milk them sweet notes, and them sweet notes are over the half step, so that's why this method has a little merit to it. Let's moving on though. There's a whole other thing we can do. Let's explore a melody line concept. So what I'm going to do here, and there's a lot of different ways to do this. You can pick any 3 tones that you like that sound good over each chord, because you're going to notice that in this scale, certain notes will they may not jump out at you at first. I remember I really had to develop my ear to hear this, but get picky with these notes and hear ones that sound they may work, but they have more of a bland flavor than the other notes that you can hit that will really work over the chord. There's usually one that's kind of stale over each chord. So that's what you're trying to avoid, and then you can lock into 3 notes kind of in a cluster somewhere, like this, and then like that. So you could be playing to this. I could play it would be actually this. I've brought the line to there. Now the chord would be changing, so I'm thinking about bringing the line to there, and then oh boy, I just screwed that up bad. As our D chord. So you can do that anywhere, but here in this example, we are going to concentrate on the 1, notice it says 1, 3, 5. It's neat how this works out. We're going to melody line on our high E string at the, 7, 8, 9, or 10, 9, and 8. 7, 9, and 10, sorry. So we got the, and what I've got in parentheses over is the chord that this is going to work over, and the number in the box is the note of the chord. These are chord tones, and they work in a melody line, and that's why this works, because you're bringing your melody, your melody's following a little bit of a thing, and it's not something that jumps out at the audience, but it sounds cool, because you're doing something, you've got a plan, you got a concept here. So, anyways, we'll play to the 1 of the D chord, which is kind of cool because that's where you'd want to use the 1. The 1 at the end might be kind of boring to kind of close up on the 1. But here you want to, just kind of get right in the pocket. And nothing does that better than the 1, so I might, Okay, so let's try it out with the real backing track. How about that? So I'm going to cater to the 1, cater to the 3 of A, and then the E. We'll be playing to the 5 of E, which I don't know why I didn't complete that statement or idea. Here we go. 5 of E. pretty cool. Did you like that? And I try to throw in an outside note in there, and I think you can do that, once you're clearly right in between that A, walk into the... I could hear that wasn't right at that moment, because when I should have been catering back to the D, I catered to the A. And the one thing is, like, for example, I think with that A and that D note, like that 3 of A really won't sound that great over the D chord, and vice versa. Because you're kind of like just one note away from where you really could be to just clearly ring a note out on a beat over that chord. Now that is the 7, kind of a maybe not the best choice to start a line on, but it's up to you. Especially if you're going to the 1, but I'm going to actually sort of do that in a little bit, but here we go. So now we can follow the yellow brick road idea. Now this idea has, and you can use all of these to get some, do this over, 6, 7 cycles, and you can use all these ideas to be original around each time if you can remember them. But anyways here, so over the D chord, we've got these purple notes. Consider the yellow one right now as a purple note. So the first thing you want to know is also the lesson here is know your chord tone. So what I'm always aiming for through all these ideas is this picture in my head over the 1 chord. Here it is on the screen. It's kind of the top version of your bar chord at the D fret of a 6-string bar chord. You might know that as the open F shape. Okay, so now the orange notes are your complementary notes within the scale to this chord. See how cool that sounds when you play the complementary, because we're still considering. I mean, it is kind of like we just went up to the next major chord up the scale. That's the 4 and the 5, the E that we're going to. But anyways, you can see that, the chord that we're heading to is it's interesting to take note of these things. They can subtly help guide your decision. You can see that, these complementary notes are the notes of the chord you are eventually leading to. So there's a reason why they won't work as the main focal notes of your bit over the 1 chord, because that's where you're headed. So you're kind of early to be like, I mean, it would kind of work. They might sound awkward to hang on, to turn back on, when you go up and you get to the 2 and you're coming back. Your mileage may vary on those instructions, but you go to the 5 is what you're thinking of. So if I needed a little more time, I got there. But maybe I'm too early, so I need I walk from the 7 up to the 2, back down to the stepwise down to back to that 5. I skipped the 6 there for whatever reason. So why do I want to go to that 5? Because I'm right now thinking this shape here. And am I already at sheet 16? Yes, I am. Okay. So I'm thinking about this shape here, which is my A major shape in that area. So that's how I knew to play everything I had played before, because I'm always thinking this shape over the A chord. And then I'm thinking this is everything, by the way, once I play that. What is this choice when I do this? It's a 7. It might sound good, but this is the next chord we're going to, so you're kind of early on the E chord. And notice I've got the 4 grayed out there, because that's where we just were. The 4 can tend to sound a little bit like a dull note. Maybe you don't want to turn around on that. I don't know. It's going to have, it's just going to even out the sound. You only use that if you want to. But anyways, so there's what you're catering to. So I would be going, oh, here's the D. I'm going to try to get to that note to end my D line. This is the concept here, by the way. We're trying to play over the changes. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to target that. Let's go back a sheet here so this makes a little more sense. I'm going to target that kind of 5, either really pretty much as the note that arrives, that I hit when the chord changes. So I'm playing over the D. There was the first note of A right there. And it's going to sound cool because you've just you've played a line that made right through the change, but over the change, stepwise in your line, was the exact note you needed or wanted to play for the new chord coming up. So what is that in the A? That's A itself. So you stepped right into the root. You stepped on a pile of root. Oh. So you're just trying to do things like that. You're trying to connect your lines through these chords. So now you're playing on this shape here with your idea. It's going by quick, and here comes the beat coming up for the beat. You're gonna hit that 7, and you're gonna instantly be in that shape there for the. Wow, wrong chord. Here's all the chords. You want to know the full shape, where they're coming from. D major bar chord. Harder to play C shape from an A root in Beirut. And then your E major shape. And then you want to know them way up high too, just on like a 3-note thing. D shape here. Reminds me of the last part of I'm not going to play it now, but part of a Pink Floyd song off Animals and Sheep. Thank you very much. Roger Waters, Dave Gilmore, Rick Wright, Nick Mason. Can't forget any of them. Moving on. We've got that would be, here's, once you're on the E chord. I just screwed something up big time. There's an outside note you can throw in there. When that happens, let's try it. Hit. I messed it up in a couple places, but you can see You don't have to be, perfectly on that yellow note every time. And so see, I walked up there once I knew I was headed toward the one. Let's see how that sounds. Too early on there, but not considering the beat enough there. Something I am trying to improve at. So that was the end of my tiles here. There's basically another one I'm going to tell you about here. I'm going to show you one that I'm going to go over next week. This is called enclosures. Check this out. And I'm not perfect at it. There's a way to get inject the venom of jazz into your lines. That was a little bold. Is that jazz? I don't know, but it was the first enclosures I've stumbled upon recently. I feel like it's been a big eye opener to a final click moment to what I was feeling like I was couldn't get in my playing. There was a sound that happens in an enclosure, and that was the sound I was looking for, and I couldn't really, I didn't know what it was, and I knew what I was hearing, and so what I would end up watching is because I'm thinking, okay, is it this scale? Are people doing that because they know this scale, and then they know what to do in reference from a scale? Is it an altered, diminished minor coming from the a pentatonic trick? And there's so many ways you can explain this stuff. And all it was enclosures, and no one had explained. I've kind of found a little my own, not my own. This is but kind of the way that a structure, a method to having these enclosures not just be random, but to be really targeted properly. And that knowing that there's a couple of changes, or just there's 2 or 3 different enclosure like shapes. And once you got those and you understand where to apply them, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to try to show you that over the next few lessons. And that's what I was trying to say earlier about where we're going to go. Here's the final one. I'm going to now do this. And I don't know, how well this works, but I'm going to play chord tone derivative, chord tone focused. That would be a better word. Chord tone focused over the 1, chord tone focused over the final E chord, the 5, our 4 is actually the 1 of our progression. So that stuff, how that gets the wording can get confusing. But anyways, so over the D, I'll just say the D chord of our progression, D, A, E. D is going to be chord tones. E will be chord tones. But A in the middle, I'm going to just go Liberty style. I'm going to just kind of go free form over that and see what happens. So let's try that. D chord, anything. Again. then kind of another way to sound a little hip out of the pocket, use that middle chord to be the playground. As long as the secret was is that on, and I tried to do it, I missed it a couple times, and you could see it was sort of forgiving. Just you want to get right in on the beat to those. You got to know where that E, any of them E tones are. So if you go, you're gonna kind of, and you're gonna kind of want to know, where's that note up here. So if you want to. Let's try that again. I thought it was kind of cool. I think there's some merit there. I mean, you gotta be careful. You can't fool around too much. And you can hear some things were a little wonky, but it's had kind of its little thing to it. And you can just do that one time and do the other tricks the other times. Who knows? I hope you picked up something cool from this video. Please like and subscribe as always. And check out the merchandise because that's really cool. T-shirts down below. Tell me what you think about the T-shirts, the designs or the tapestries or whatever. Because remember, you got music studios out there and you want cool things to hang on your wall. So you don't have to just buy T-shirts. Put a cool tapestry on your wall from Mind's Eye. Visual T Public Store. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I hope to get this uploaded sometime today. Thank you.